Good afternoon, everyone. Peggy Hubbard here, giving you an installation of Straight Talk. It is Thanksgiving Eve, and it is Wednesday. And first off, I want to give thanks for being raised by a remarkable woman. I want to give thanks to all the friends I've made along the way. I want to give thanks to the first responders, the police officers, the firefighters, and the paramedics that keep us safe, and the nurses and doctors that heal us. And I also definitely want to give thanks to having my spouse still here, and thankful for the troops that serve that cannot be home. Now, having said all of that, I want to talk about today. Yesterday, or day before, I wrote a piece. Chesterfield, Missouri, just as a suburb west of St. Louis. And what happened was there was a message wrote on the bathroom mirror. And that message was White Lives Matter and the N-word. Now, the black community was all up in arms about this graffiti, if you will, being written on the bathroom mirror. Now, we all wrote stuff on the bathroom mirror, but we never wrote anything that was racially charged, such as this. And the black community was all up in arms over this graffiti, this White Lives Matter and the N-word being written on the bathroom mirror. Now, before the investigation was even done, concluded, we as black people, the first thing we did was we start hollering out how racist white people are and why people did this. This happened last week, that this graffiti was written, and the police officers out there in Chesterfield did a remarkable job in investigating what went down, and there were cameras. So they narrowed it down and narrowed down their search to who could have written such inflammatory words on a bathroom mirror in the middle of the day. And all over social media, I read nothing but us black people calling out white folks, calling them racist, calling them all kind of names. I mean, there were full-fledged arguments going on social media regarding what had happened. Peggy does what she does. I sat back, I watched, I listened, and I took in all the information, and I told my husband, a white person did not do this. A white person did not write these words. And he said, how do you know? I said, time and time again, it's always been proven that it wasn't a white person that did this. In St. Louis last summer, there were churches that were being burned in the black community. The pastors of St. Louis, all NAACP, National Urban League, they were all on TV, Jamie Allman's show, hollering, white folks are doing this and they're burning down our churches, just like in Alabama back in the 60s, they're burning down our churches. And my brother was on the bomb and arson squad in St. Louis City at that time. And I told my brother, there was not a white person that did this, because in broad daylight, as these churches were being burned, I think we would have recognized and saw a white man tipping through the hood with a gas can in broad daylight. And that told me right off the bat it was not a white person who was burning these churches. Turns out it was Pookie burning down the churches. Then last month we had Halloween at college. College kid wrote graffiti all over his car. It said Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter, KKK, all this stuff all over the car. And he reported that somebody was targeting him because he was a black student in a predominantly white university. All over Facebook, all over Twitter, it was a buzz. Come to find out, he did it himself to his own car. He vandalized his own car and put KKK, White Lives Matter, some inflammatory words I can't even repeat. But it was a black guy. Then it was a black girl who said that she was accosted on the college campus, got these racial notes stapled to her door at her dorm with KKK, the N-word, White Lives Matter. Turns out black girl did it. She did it. Then it was another black girl who said that she was on a subway and she's black and somebody tried to rip off her hijab off her head because she's Muslim and they were screaming racial slurs at her. Police in New York investigated. Turned out she lied. Never happened. Then we had another black girl who said that she was harassed and somebody left threatening messages at the school and university saying that they were going to shoot up the school, KKK, White Lives Matter, white power. Come to find out, she made up the whole story. So we have a pattern here of crying wolf as black people. We're causing racial divide where there were no racial divide. We owe white America an apology because it's not them that is causing this racial divide, it's us. Fast forward, Chesterfield. Little girl wrote on the bathroom mirror, and come to find out it was a black girl. Now the media, when they reported on the story yesterday, they said it was a non-white student. It was a black student. Why don't you just come out and say it? It was a black student that wrote White Lives Matter, the N-word, on the bathroom mirror. Instead of saying what it was, the media reported her as a non-white student. Non-white, first thing that comes to mind is a black student. I told my husband it was a black student that did this. Now, you heard nothing from the NAACP of an apology. Don't hold your breath. You didn't hear nothing from the Urban League of St. Louis. You didn't hear nothing about these protesters. None of these people. All these parents out there clowning about somebody writing on the mirror and come to find out it's one of us that's actually doing it. Time after time after time after time after time again, there have been a total of 10 instances, 10 situations that we're hollering prejudice, racism, and come to find out not one white person did it. We got black people going vandalizing their own vehicles, vandalizing their own homes, just to start a race war, just to drive a wedge between us as black and white. We haven't had this much racial divide until Obama was elected, and that's the God's truth. There is something broken in this girl's home that she feels like she has to do this. She feels like she's compelled to do this. I don't know if it's attention seeking. I don't know if something's broken at home. I don't know if something's not quite right in her head. But if I was a parent and I found out my child did something as heinous and horrible as this, my child during the Thanksgiving holiday will be cleaning every bathroom in that school. My child will be giving that school an apology. I would demand the school have an assembly, and I would make my daughter get up on that stage and apologize to every white student in that school. Every white child in that school would be owed an apology because what she did was nothing more then hate, divide, and reverse racism is what it was. I told everybody it was a black person that did that. Chesterfield is a very progressive area. And I've never had a problem in Chesterfield. And they're pretty progressive. But for this child to do what she did, and for the black community not to reach out and apologize to the white community, we're just as bad as she is. Because we're not going to admit when we are wrong. We're not going to admit that we have a misstep. We're not going to admit that we too are racist. Yes, any race can be racist because you're black. And I have people tell me that all the time. We're black. We can never be racist. Bull crap. You want to see some of the biggest racists? Go to one of our family reunions. Go to some of these black family reunions. You want to see some racism? You want to see some racist? Blacks can be just as racist as any other race. Any race can be racist. Any race can be racist. Just because you're black, you do not fall short of demonstrating racism. Because I've seen it firsthand in my own family. Firsthand. In my own family. And I disassociate with those people. I don't associate with them whatsoever because of their views and their skewed views of race. The race relations in this country did not come this far and be destroyed because of this president, President Trump. Obama did this. Obama did this. This man has set us back in race relations over 40 years. Over 40 years. We have been set back in race relations because of this man. Any race can be racist. Any nationality can be racist. I have some people that I know who are black that will not associate with anybody that is darker than them or lighter than them. There's division in our own race. If you're too dark, then they don't want to deal with you. If you're too light, you want to be white. And it's the God's truth. The awful God's truth. Nobody I know who is white ever owned a slave. Nobody I know who is black was ever a slave. But yet we as black people hold on to our past instead of learning from our past and looking at what those people did for us to bridge the gap, to get us where we are, to have the advantages that they never have. We as black people, we take that for granted. We take it and we use the race card if it's the American Express card. We want to holler race when we don't get a certain job. We want to holler race when we don't get a certain house. We want to holler race if we're not passed along in school and we can barely read on the 3rd grade level. We want to holler race when our kids are clowning at school instead of dealing with what needs to be dealt with at home on the home level. We want to holler race. You want to put it on the white man. I'm sorry to tell you black folks, but the white man is not at fault here. It's us. When we can willy-nilly take a life, a black life, and then holler Black Lives Matter, but we can put a gun to one of our brothers and sisters' head and pull the trigger, and we want everybody to watch us protest because we're being so oppressed by the police, but we can kill each other at will, No, you can't put this on the white man. The white man didn't do this. It's you. It's us. And every time you turn on the 6 o'clock news, there's another black life that's taken by another black life. And we want to holler, it's the white man. So call me what you will. Call me the white man's N-word. Call me a coon. Call me an Uncle Tom. Call me whatever you want to call me. But there's one thing you cannot call me is a liar. Because the truth is the truth. That little girl did what she did to start a race war, to start a divide where there was no divide in that school. She has an opportunity to continue her education outside of the city schools in an accredited school district. And what did she do? She threw it all away for some attention. And then we want to holler, they're not treating us fair. We want to take a knee. We want to make fools GQ Citizen of the Year. To be a citizen, you got to believe in this country. You're not a citizen if you don't believe in this country. He doesn't believe in this country, so that does not make him a citizen. And then you have another fool who had a kid that go over to China and decide to steal, get the 5-finger discount. And instead of being thankful for somebody giving a damn about his child, he says he's allowed to pass. He's allowed to break the law. That is the mentality and the thinking we have in the black community. We're still slaves up here. Until we get rid of this mentality here, this and here, it's never going to be free. Until we can fix up here, we're still going to be in chains here. That's my thought. This is Peggy Hubbard. Thank you all for listening today. Everyone have a safe Thanksgiving holiday and weekend. Please do not drive drunk. Please wear your seatbelts. And please take care out there, because my husband is out there. He's going to be working Thanksgiving. And please slow down. Because somebody's husband, somebody's wife, somebody's daughter, somebody's brother, somebody's mother and father, they're out there. They're not going to be sitting at the table. They're going to be out there keeping us safe. So please, don't drink and drive. Slow down. Wear your seatbelt, and please do not text and drive. This is Peggy Hubbard giving everyone the straight talk. Everyone, I'm sorry, be good to each other. I love you all. Take care.